most anticipated films from South by Southwest is finally coming to VOD, and I'm so excited to talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing Arkansas, which stars the likes of Clark Duke, Liam Hemsworth, John Malkovich, and Vince Vaughn. It's about Kyle and Swin, who are two drug runners and living by the orders of an Arkansas-based drug kingpin named Frog, whom they've never met. When a deal goes horribly wrong, the consequences are deadly. I'm looking forward to this film ever since it was announced that it was going to South by Southwest, most notably because of Clark Duke. Now, here's the thing. I've always thought this guy was a very hilarious dude, but when it comes to an actor going into director chair, that's what he's doing in here. He wrote, he directed, and he also acts in this film. And that just got me interested, to say the least. Plus, seeing the likes of Liam Hemsworth joining into an independent feature like this, since we haven't really seen him in anything lately, that got me also excited. To say the least, that is some of actually the best parts about this film. Arkansas might not be a perfect movie, but it's still really entertaining and a different take on the crime thriller genre than we've seen before. A lot of that is due to the writing that Clark Duke is able to intersect in here, and I think the writing is actually some of the most powerful things of this whole story. That the narrative is structured throughout, feels very Tarantino-esque, but also still feels in its own style to Clark Duke. Even then, the way that it's all structured, there comes a midpoint in the film where you know something that the main characters don't, and you go, oh, you idiots. It's fun in that right, and I love how they were able to intersect that and tie that in all together. From that point on, the story was already intriguing, but that was the cherry on top. Really, the other thing that brings this writing to life are the performances, and this is something that I'm really going to acclaim in here. Liam Hemsworth, my dude, you gotta do more independent features, because this was excellent what you were able to do in this realm. I loved Liam Hemsworth in here, and this is probably easily his best performance yet. I think he's been needing a performance like this to showcase his acting capabilities, because we've seen him in other things, more of franchise type like stuff, but this is finally the thing that really pushes him to the forefront for me and says, yeah, he can act really well. In the end, I hope he continues to keep doing these independent features, because he's really good, and I want to see him showcase his acting abilities just a bit more. Speaking of someone else who also does the same thing in this, and also has had a nice string of going to these independent features as well, is Vince Vaughn. He was great in Dragged Across Concrete. He was great in Brawl in Cell Block 99, but he's great in here as well. Now, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, because I think this is a story that you want to go into not knowing much about. I didn't even get to see a trailer for this. I just kind of read the premise and saw who was involved and said, I'm in. And that's kind of how I want you guys to also go into this story as well, because Vince Vaughn's character is very key to this whole entire story, and the way that it also ties into the narrative is great. But Vince Vaughn in general is just fantastic in this role, and you see sides of him that we've seen in other independent features, but nothing like this. It's very subdued in the way that he's able to portray his dramatic chops, but they're very sensitive and sensible, but also at the same time understanding who he is as a character, and that's one of the most important things about him. I haven't even mentioned John Malkovich, who just kills this role, and Clark Duke plays pretty much himself, but in the way that you would imagine Clark Duke to play in. He's very much the outgoing, everyone talk to me, I'm gonna talk to you, I want to be your friend type guy, and it works for those realms. The writing and the casting in here was just so phenomenal. Let's talk about that directing, because that was going to be this thing I was looking to see if it was key here. Now, I'm not going to say it was the best directorial debut that I've ever seen, but I think it's a solid one that provides great footing for what could be the next great chapter of this director. You know, sometimes we've seen that where an actor comes to the director, he tries, and it's pretty good, but when he goes to that next step, it's the next best thing. And I think that's what we have with Clark Duke here, because I still think he's trying to find his footing as a director. He doesn't have his style yet. It didn't feel cohesive to him. The writing did, but when it came to the directing, it felt like other things that I had seen before. Some people might actually find that inside the story as well, because it does feel very Tarantino-esque, or maybe even Coen Brother-esque, and you can feel the novelty from those. Still, in the end of the day, it is its own thing, and I actually very much, again, appreciated that, and thought it was a fun time and engaging one, and I really wish I could have seen this in theaters. Yes, I haven't even talked about the score here, which really ties everything together, and that is something that I always look for to see how it can bring the story to life just a bit more. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on Arkansas, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and if you want to be a geek like me, if you you'll want to talk movies every day. That's what I do over here on a daily basis, as well as comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you guys excited for this one? Are you not? Let's discuss it all down there. And of course, guys, just a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. And of course, when movie theaters reopen, I want you guys to head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. It's always a slow crime thriller, but one that marinates so well. The smart writing in here and the storytelling and the way that they chose to develop the narrative is one of my favorite things in here. With great performances from Liam Hemsworth, who really, dude, you gotta work in the independent features more, please. And Vince Vaughn, who just kills it in this subtle role. Clark Duke and John Malkovich are also great in here. This might feel like a directorial debut, and it's not like a huge big style. It still feels like that he's finding his footing, but I can see the potential and seems like he is still figuring it out and developing it, which is promising. But the writing is the style and that's where I felt, and that was the biggest amazing thing of this story. Yes, it feels like a Coen Brothers film at times. Yes, sometimes it feels a Tarantino film at times, but sometimes you have to borrow from others and kind of put your own spin on that novelty, and especially you find that inside the script. I think there will be issues with some of the character development that people have with these characters because you don't get to know a lot about them, but I'm fine with that. I didn't think that was the story needed to be told, and I thought we got enough from these characters to care about them throughout this path. I liked seeing these independent features. I love indie films. I love them. I will always support them. And when it comes to crime thrillers like this, I think when they're able to put their own twist on it, that's what makes it fun. So with all that said, I'm going to give Arkansas a B. What did you guys think of Arkansas? Did you guys like it? Did you hate it? Are you looking forward to it? Let's discuss it down below, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. And of course, until next time, stay classy.